The Last Kingdom has wrapped up production with its 5th and final season. But is this where Uhtred's story ends? Aren't there 3 more books in the Saxon Stories that are left unadapted? What's the buzz about a sequel film? Is it really happening? And when is it happening? There are a lot of questions that need answers. Make sure to stick around for the whole video on what is the Last Kingdom movie 7 Kings Must Die about to get those answers. First up, is the 5th season really the final season of the show? After 7 glorious years of trailing Uhtred of Bebbanburg's journey of uniting the separate kingdoms to become what would eventually be known as Great Britain, series creator Nigel Marchant announced that The Last Kingdom would conclude with the 5th season. Fans were disappointed to learn that the last 3 books in the Saxon series would remain unadapted. However, Netflix soon revealed that production for a 2-hour sequel film, 7 Kings Must Die, was already in production. The Last Kingdom may have dropped its final season, but Uhtred's story is far from being over. 7 Kings Must Die picks up from where the 5th season left off. But why leave the final season on a cliffhanger? Executive producer Nigel Marchant believes that the 5th season of the show, that is the season based on Bernard Cornwell's Warriors of the Storm and the Flame Bearer from the Saxon Stories, provides an adequate end to the 2 storylines that ran parallel from the first episode. While the Saxon Stories goes on for another 3 books, Marchant believes that the 5th season provided an apt conclusion for the television series. So why put things to an end with a sequel and not another season? According to the showrunners, it takes the cast and crew months, sometimes leading up to years on end, to wrap up production for a 10-hour-long season. The sequel to The Last Kingdom isn't necessarily a part of the show. While it is admittedly a part of the Saxon Stories, Netflix wrapped up production for the show with its 5th and final season. According to Marchant, 7 Kings Must Die is a way to appease fans of Cornwell's work. The Saxon Stories were released for approximately 2 decades, from 2004 to 2020. Fans of Cornwell's work grew up with the storyline, and it would have been unfair, in Marchant's opinion, to leave them wanting more for a show that was already over. When exactly did Netflix and Carnival Productions sit down to discuss a possible sequel? Sources revealed that the script for the final season, based on Cornwell's 9th and 10th book in the series, had already wrapped up by the time Warlord, the 3rd and final installment in the Saxon series, was released. With 3 more books to go, but only 1 season, the showrunners ultimately decided against incorporating elements of all 5 books into 1 season. Are we glad that they left the last 3 books unadapted for The Last Kingdom? Debatable. But we're glad to know that Marchant and Stephen Butchard didn't condense 3 epic, detailed books into 1 season, especially considering the fact that only the first 2 seasons were based purely on their corresponding novels. That's right, here's something interesting for fans of Netflix's most popular British historical season. There are major plot differences between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th seasons of The Last Kingdom from their corresponding The Saxon Stories novels. Up next, will 7 Kings Must Die be different than the Saxon Stories series? A follow-up question would be, why so many differences? Even though the showrunners based The Last Kingdom on Cornwell's work, there were certain elements in the novelization that could not have been, or should not have been, represented on screen. The Last Kingdom has been rated TV MA, which refers to mature audiences only. MA is perhaps the maximum rating networks approve before declaring a show unfit to run on air, or in this case, on a streaming service. Still, elements of Cornwell's work could not be represented in the storyline of a television series. And now, why does the title, 7 Kings Must Die, sound oddly familiar? 7 has been a recurring number throughout the show. 7 kingdoms, 7 wars, and 7 voyages. However, the title had been echoed earlier on in the series, when Uhtred goes to visit the ancient witch, Elfidel, in Season 3 to ask about his fate. There, Elfidel gives a rather ominous prediction of what would befall the show's leading protagonist. 7 kings will die die, Uhtred of Bebbanburg, 7 kings, and the women you love. That is your fate, and Alfred's son will not rule, and Wessex will die, and the Saxon will kill what he loves, and the Danes will gain everything. And all will change, and all will be the same as it ever was, and ever will be. Moving on, what can we expect in 7 Kings Must Die? We can expect the storyline to pick up from where the last kingdom left off. Uhtred's life comes full circle when he reclaims his ancestral home of Bebbanburg. However, to keep the peace, the Saxon-Dane had promised to remain impartial between King Constantin of Alba and King Edward of Essex's growing animosity. Bebbanburg was to remain independent. However, an independent Bebbanburg meant that King Edward's dream of uniting England was left unfinished. Uhtred plans on living out the rest of his days in peace at his ancestral home. But can we really expect peace from the people of the 7 kingdoms? Uhtred struck a deal with Constantin that ensured Northumbria would remain a neutral zone between England and Scotland until a new English king had been appointed. So, is a sequel really necessary? While the events of the 10th book aptly bring Uhtred back to where he came from being kidnapped from Bebbanburg in the first episode to returning in the last, Cornwell knew that fans would be quick to point out one major flaw in the story if it ended there. Kings don't settle for less. King Edward of Wessex's plans for a unified England would never go to fruition if Uhtred were to have his way. The last kingdom would still be centered around various kingdoms, who, as depicted in the last season, were willing to negotiate peace. However, tensions were apparent, even as the ending drew near. To the showrunner's credit, The Last Kingdom followed the story of Uhtred of Bebbanburg, whose story comes back full circle with him returning to his kingdom to live out the rest of his days in peace. Next up, how long did it take to adapt, write, and produce the sequel? If you've made it this far, you probably have one thing on your mind. When did the cast and crew have the time to film 7 Kings Must Die? If you zoned out along the way, let's recap some facts. The scriptwriters had completed the script for the 5th and final season by 2020. Cornwell released the last installment in the Saxon Stories in the same year, and Marchant began lobbying for a sequel film around the same time, too. This means that between 2021 to 2022, the cast and crew of The Last Kingdom had to adapt Warlord for a screenplay, come up with an apt sequel to a show that had otherwise finished, and shoot the whole thing. How did they do it? It was nothing short of a miracle. Sources revealed that 2021 and 2022 were the most hectic years for The Last Kingdom cast and crew members. Once shooting for the last season was over, they had to shoot for 7 Kings Must Die. And now, who can we expect in 7 Kings Must Die? The show's executives were keen on keeping one thing under wraps until the final episode for The Last Kingdom was released. The names of actors and actresses were crossed out from promotional images for 7 Kings Must Die. There's a reason for it. We know that the sequel film details Uhtred's life after returning to Bebbanburg, but until the last episode was released, we weren't sure of who'd be joining him for the new chapter in his journey. A few major characters from The Last Kingdom's cast were killed off in the final season: Breda, Ethelfled, Osferth, and Sigtrygr. We do know that the film will feature Alexander Dreymon back in the role of Uhtred of Bebbanburg. Other confirmed cast members from The Last Kingdom set to make an appearance in 7 Kings Must Die include Arnis Federavicius, who will be reprising his role as Uhtred's loyal ally, Sihtric. A few rumors are circulating that Mark Rowley would be reprising his role as Finan in the sequel film. The rumors began after Rowley was featured in an Instagram post with Dreymon. Fans believed that Finan would be making an appearance in 7 Seven Kings Must Die, but these rumors are unconfirmed as of yet. Ed Bazalgette, a British director known for working on BBC's Doctor Who and Netflix's The Witcher, will be directing Seven Kings Must Die. Bazalgette is no stranger to The Last Kingdom, having directed episodes in seasons 3 and 4. He was an executive producer for season 4 too. Finally, when will Seven Kings Must Die be released on Netflix? And now on to the most exciting part, the part you're probably itching to know about. When will Seven Kings Must Die be released on Netflix? The sequel is definitely happening. In fact, production has reached completion, but it is unconfirmed for now when the sequel film will be released on the streaming service. Some reports suggest that Seven Kings Must Die will be released by late 2022 or by early 2023. Fans are eager for Carnival Productions to release a trailer for the sequel film, but only fan edits are available online. Don't worry, Netflix has promised us a trailer soon. Alright, that's all on what Seven Kings Must Die is about. Let us know what you thought about the final season of The Last Kingdom. Were you disappointed, or do you feel like the showrunners did Uhtred justice? Let us know down below. Like this video and subscribe for more content you wouldn't want to miss. We'll see you back soon.